Hey everyone, this is just a video to help the average homeowner save a little money every year on a seasonal cleaning of your Enviro pellet stove. The stove that I have the WH-M55FS. That's the model I have. If you have a different model, these instructions may help you get your way through it. I am, in full disclosure, I don't do this for a living. I don't clean stoves for a living. But I did sit down and take careful notes of our repairman slash cleaning pellet stove cleaning guy. He was nice enough. He's like, I have work coming out of my ears. If you do your own stove, that'll save me, and yeah, have at it. So here we are. I took careful notes, and I'm making a quick video to show you guys what to do. Save yourself a couple $100 every year. Alright, let me walk you guys through the tools that I use for this job. If you don't have all these, you could probably fake your way through it with some kind of alternative, but of course we got the vac, shop vac. It's kind of specific to cleaning fireplaces and whatnot, but I'm sure a regular shop vac is just fine if you are letting your stove cool down, as you should anyway. I used one of these kits here. They're called Rotary Pellet Stove Cleaning System. I got that on Amazon, so you could find that. That's pretty key to this, so I don't know if you could fake your way through without this, but what it has is these little rotary brushes. You attach it to a drill. Let's bring that up. Of course, you're going to need a drill with the right bits to take the stove apart. Bottle brushes, those are super helpful to get in some of those cracks. And then the item that I have, which is kind of unusual, that I found really helpful, is actually intended for cleaning vents to a dryer. So it's called Lint Lizard, and basically it's a pipe. If you can see there, it's a pipe that attaches to the vacuum and allows you to vacuum in tight areas. So that's kind of key. Get a flashlight or headlamp out available, and I use gloves. Alright, I start the cleaning outside with the stovepipe. To do this right, you gotta take off that upper section, and then down at the bottom is a clear out for debris as well. So, and I have a pretty large catch bin to keep the deck fairly clean, but if you're really going to do this right and not want to get the pressure washer out, you want to put a tarp down for this. Okay, so I'm going to take off that upper section. So I believe most pipes have little dump ports at the bottom, and you kind of just have to figure out how yours opens. Mine's a little bit of a twist. Kind of release pressure on the bottom screw, and then you should be able to gain access. And as you see, there's quite a bit of material that gets its way in there. Now we're going to clean the top stovepipe with our scrub brush, our spinning scrub brush. And as you can see, just a ton of stuff falls out. Alright, our first step for the inside portion of this job is to get this left hand panel off. And it's pretty easy. It's actually just one little screw right in here. Here we have it, our panel's off. Alright, when you get into the side panel here, you're going to see your little combustion motor here that's going to be getting airflow out of the stove and out into your chimney. To access, we got to clean this all out because it gets kind of gummed up with soot and whatnot. So you're going to access it through this little plate here, and you got to take these little screws off and it's going to be a little awkward, but you can have this kind of hang down. I'll show you that in just a second. Let me get that off. Alright, so this is where I use the lint lizard attachment. Here it is. I'm going to be getting right in here, getting all that. If you don't have the lint lizard, just make do. Use the smallest tube you can find or make work. So with this part vacuumed out, now I'm going actually into the stovepipe here that leads outside the house. So it's very helpful to have a smaller tube here. So vacuuming that part is great, but to really get the bulk of the soot on the sides, you really want to use the smaller of the two brushes that are included in that kit I showed you. So we're going to go ahead and attach our drill and kind of sweep out the inside there. Let me show you what that's like. Okay, you got to clean out your fan blades here. They get gummed up, and especially if something starts falling off on some of the blades but not all, you're going to have some imbalance and possible noises. So got to get this all more silvery than black is the goal here. So you also want to get vacuum all in around this stand. There's a lot of dust that's come in, and it can't be good for the inside of that motor. My motor's looking a lot better here. You can see what I did is I used this little bottle brush kind of thing. Got in here. You can see stuff still coming out, so it really does need it. Now that we've cleaned inside that combustion motor, we're free to go ahead and replace our outside stuff, get our screws in, get our bottom plate in, then we'll work our way inside the pellet stove. So chances are, if you're doing a seasonal cleaning, you're going to just be combining some of your weekly cleaning stuff, and there's a lot of videos, or a couple good videos on how to do that. So I'm going to kind of glaze over some of the basic stuff of cleaning, just the general parts in here, but make sure you're doing that, of course. I'll show you the specific seasonal stuff. As I think that most of you have been in here, cleaned all this stuff out before, so I didn't bore you with those details. But as you see, I have everything disassembled. I've done a general vacuuming. Now we got to get into the workings for more of a seasonal cleaning. So I'm going to take off this top plate. And a lot of you probably have done that as well. But here's this, just so you can see it. Tons of debris, right? Alright, so I've taken that top plate out, and this back ribbed panel has come down, and there's going to be tons of debris in there you got to vacuum out. Now I want to show you this part here, which is kind of critical for to be cleaned so your stove runs efficiently, so you have good heat transfer to the to the blower. So these get covered with material, and the more soot and whatnot on there, the less efficient your stove is. So you really got to spend some time with a good brush and vacuum to get these all cleaned out in there. You might find it easier to take out this whole ribbed back panel. To do that, just flop it down, turn it at an angle. Alright, now that you got most of your stove, or the majority of the top part of your stove vacuumed out and surfaces brushed off and whatnot, now it's time to take kind of a seasonal approach to the cleaning of the inside of your stove. It involves taking this panel off, and this can be a little bit tricky, so hopefully this video will help you get it off. It's just up and out, but it takes some force and wiggle and back and forth, right? So up, wiggle, force, and you want to look for this tab over here on this side to come up enough so you can pull it out. So, again, it's probably the hardest part of cleaning a stove, but again, it's just force and wiggle. Sometimes I stand, sometimes I kneel to do it, but never disappoints. There it goes. There it goes. All right, so this tab is now out on this side, and now on this side it comes out. So that's probably the hardest part of that whole job right there. All right, with that plate off and all of this vacuumed out, you're going to see where the exhaust comes out. This is the venting port for the exhaust, and there's a plate here that slides, and you want to kind of keep it where it's originally set. Mine is set at about 3/4 of an inch exposed, so if that changes, not a big deal, just try to set it to about an inch or so. So this all needs to be vacuumed out in there as well. That's kind of a key part of this job. Get this little entryway, or exit way I should say, really cleaned out. I'm going to use the rotary brush as well. That happens occasionally. Your rotary brush will spin right off, and nice little surprise. Just get it tightened and reverse your drill. Here's my back plate with the 2 ports, and I'll show you how to get that back on. Easier than getting it off, that's for sure. So you have it kind of down here, angle it back underneath this little spout, and then you get those tabs into the slots, and down you go. Just make sure it's resting securely on the bottom. All right, reassembling the stove. The more complicated parts here is our ribbed back wall. We'll get that in first. That's kind of the reverse of getting it out. Always a little bit of a trick. There, and I just kind of let mine hang there like that for a minute, and grab my top plate. Now the top plate, the tabs, what I have is, it's a little hard to explain, this is slightly bent here. My tabs are bent, slightly bent, and I think, yeah, that's how they're manufactured. It's not something that's been damaged, but the bend, if you have it laying on a flat surface, the bend coming up will be, this will be the top that's out of sight. So you kind of get this pushed back, your back plate, and then this plate inserted here, like so. Just like that. So everything kind of holds itself up in there, or the top holds the back plate in place. All right. Now you just kind of put the rest of this together. You can probably fast forward through this section of the video, along with many others, I'm sure. Almost there. It's not very good for a seasonal cleaning. Let's clean that out. So my understanding is if you don't clean this, and it's better to do this right in the spring when pellet stove's the least thing on your mind, but it's best to do it then, because if you don't, kind of this soot holds the moisture, and you can just get your parts kind of rusting and corroding away. So it's best to do this in the spring for sure, and try to get all your parts. It's kind of easy to forget certain parts. There you go, the firebox is back in place. So I close this panel up last because I find when I clean inside the firebox at that exit port, some more stuff comes forward. So I just do a quick vacuum here. Also, I didn't talk about it earlier, but get all your spider webs out and try your best to clean this little rotor thing here. Get things cleaned up as best as possible. You know, spider webs stick on things and maybe cause imbalances in your fans, and imbalances mean noise. So do yourself a favor now, get that done. All right, for putting your motor back on, you want to just make sure the wires are headed downward. Get your screws in, get it all tight and nice. The last part of the cleaning job that I do, I don't know if it's a performance issue, but it's certainly a cleanliness issue, is to get out, clean all this dust in here. I'm about halfway done. It's a pretty easy job. Just get down there with a vacuum. That's in behind the stove. So the great thing about this job is when you're done, you get this nice, beautiful, brighter flame that just screams efficiency, and it makes it all the effort worthwhile. Hope you found this helpful, and you get your stove clean.